Hello everyone, Factory Day's third video. We're doing the summer 2020 sneak peek for today's third video. So, the first video released at GWV today was the spring 2020 forecast. Quite an interesting watch. I hope that you will all agree. So the spring forecast is now out there. We will place that on the spring updates page, that video later on today with written summary going over the forecast, and then that'll be it. That's it for the spring forecast and updates. So then the long range bandwagon rolls on. We never stop at GWV. It's the long range bandwagon rolls on to the coming season, which will of course be summer. So we're going to do a little sneak peek for the summer of 2020 in this video. We're going to talk you through some of the things we'll be looking at with the summer updates, and we'll have a look at some long range model output at the end of the video as well, just to set the scene and whet the appetite a little bit for the summer updates that will commence at GWV's 1 week today on the 8th of March. So that's all to come. So just say that first video release date, as I said, was the spring forecast. That's going to be placed on the spring updates page later on today. Also, GWV Sunny Roundup has been released. Got Ensembles Watch coming up tonight, and also we've got Terry Scolling's March forecast for you as well. So a lot going on at the website today. Hope you're finding all of the videos and updates interesting and informative. So we already have an update in the bag for summer 2020. We did this back in January. Summers following summers that reach 35 Celsius or more. Summer 2020. So this is the summer updates page at GWVs.com. The video is also on the YouTube channel, of course. So have a look at that and see how things came out with summers following summers that reached 35 degrees. Now, one of the things we're going to be keeping a close eye on in the summer updates excuse me, will be sea surface temperature anomalies. We're going to keep a very close eye on what's happening in the ENSO region. Of course, there are a few hints at the moment that we might go in to a La Nina through the spring and into the summer. What impacts could that have? Well, through reanalysis, we will, of course, be discussing that. And we'll also keep an eye on what's happening in the northern part of the Pacific Ocean. The PDO, Pacific Decadal Oscillation, going to go colder than average. If it does, what could that mean? Over in the Atlantic Ocean, yes, we'll be keeping an eye on sea surface temperature anomalies there. The cold blob has returned. It's a cold and average area of sea surface temperature anomalies in the northern Atlantic. And we also have quite a warm area beginning to develop off the coast of Africa in the tropical Atlantic. This is where hurricanes tend to form. So if we have an active hurricane season this summer, what could that mean in terms of our summer impacts, particularly if it was to be combined with a developing La Nina. Of course, we had this cold area up here a couple of years ago, but it was much more pronounced. This is how sea surface temperature anomalies looked for the summer of 2018, which was a very, very hot and dry summer. Notice this very pronounced and quite unusual sort of horseshoe shape of colder than average sea surface temperature anomalies. That's the indication of the cold AMO, Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation. So we had a cold AMO signature there through the summer of 2018, and there's a lot of speculation, it was a lot of speculation, that sea surface temperature anomaly profile helped to deliver the very, very hot summer that we had in 2018. Will we see a re-emergence? Will we see this area just here becoming colder, and will we get that horseshoe shape of cold sea surface temperature anomalies developing again for the summer? We'll be keeping a very close eye on that, of course, in the summer updates. So, as well as that, I say CFS certainly is hinting that we might go into a La Nina. This is the current CFS ENSO forecast, and you see that we've got the dates on the bottom of the chart, the temperature anomalies on the side. You can see that by the time we get through to the summer months, just here, CFS is forecasting that we're likely to see a La Nina signature emerging. By the time we get through to the autumn, that's actually becoming quite a moderate La Nina being forecast by the CFS. Other models do not agree on that, though. So, will we go into a La Nina? If we do, what impacts could that have on the summer? We'll try to explain that through reanalysis. And if we don't go into a La Nina, if we say ENSO neutral, what impacts could that have as well? So, we'll be discussing that, of course, in the updates. We're at solar minimum, so yes, this is solar disk on outside of this day from solarham.net. We have another spotless solar disk. There's no sunspots whatsoever, so this will either be the final summer of solar cycle 24, or it could even be the first summer of solar cycle 25. We don't know when we're going to begin solar cycle 25, but it is possible this could be the first summer of the new solar cycle. But we shall discuss through, again, reanalysis, what impacts could this have, either as the last summer of solar cycle 24 or the first summer of solar cycle number 25. The Arctic Oscillation has been in a record-breakingly positive phase through this winter. So this is the AO observed and forecast chart. You see from the black line here how very, very positive the Arctic Oscillation has been through this winter, really from the start of it, but particularly so since we went into January, exceptionally positive and at times record-breakingly positive AO. The GFS ensembles are keeping the Arctic Oscillation in positive territory through March as well. At some point this is going to flip, at some point this will go negative. Will that happen in the summer? And what impacts do we see when we have summers following very positive AO winters? We'll discuss that in the winter updates through reanalysis. And the same is true for the NAO. That's been in a very positive phase. Again, at some point, the NAO is going to go negative. Will that happen before or during the summer? And again, what can the impacts be in summers that following winters that have a positive NAO? More about that in future updates. We know the zonal winds have also been in record-breaking strong territory at times through this winter, all associated with an incredibly powerful stratospheric polar vortex. We will see the zonal winds going into reverse through this spring, because we always do. So at some point the zonal winds will go into reverse. Last year, when we had a reversal of zonal winds without a sudden stratospheric warming, but just a cyclical reversal of zonal winds, because it happened from such a very powerful starting point, it almost had the effect, that reversal of zonal winds that was only cyclical, just what you get just go through the spring and into the summer. That reversal did have the same kind of impacts as a sudden stratospheric warming. It certainly seemed to, and we finished up with quite a lot of northern blocking, particularly in June. Could we see a similar outcome this summer? All will be revealed there. And of course, we'll be keeping an eye on monthly temperature and precipitation as well, and seeing what impacts that could have on our summer. So we've had an exceptionally mild winter, of course, so no doubt we'll be looking at summers following exceptionally mild winters. I'm sure we'll do that. Had an exceptionally mild February as well, so we'll be looking at summers following exceptionally mild Februaries, and no doubt we'll be looking at summers that follow very wet winters and very wet Februaries as well. So more about that in the weeks to come. I mean, we're going to reveal all the data through reanalysis. So, of course, we saw within the spring forecast that the leading analog for our spring 2020 forecast was the spring of 2007. Will that 2007 leading analog carry on through the summer updates? Will we see 2007, summer of 2007, occurring a lot through the summer updates? If we do, well, we know what happened in the summer of 2007. It was a washout. It had the large blocking area of high pressure within the northern latitudes, the low pressure across the UK and Northern Europe, and yes, we brought down those cold north to northeasterly winds. So could we see something similar, very wet summer for 2020 as we have in 2007? And what do the long-range models say? Well, we'll be looking at long-range models in 3 season model roundups, one at the end of March, one at the end of April, and the last one at the end of of May. Just now to show you a few of those long-range season models, we begin with CanSips at tropicaltidbits.com. So this is the mean sea level pressure anomaly for the summer of 2020 from CanSips, and it's going for neither a particularly unsettled or a particularly settled summer, just very, very average sort of pressure there, really. It's going for a slightly milder than average summer with its temperature anomaly, and CanSips is also forecasting around average or no signal for precipitation for this summer, so not a particularly exciting summer being forecast there from CanSips. CFSV2 for the summer of 2020 is looking like this. I'm not sure it's all that good, really. It has an area of above average heights quite a long ways from us to our northeast. If we come over here, we see it over northern Scandinavia with below average heights out to the west. So yes, that would imply a rather unsettled summer maybe, and possibly a rather coolish sort of summer as well, with some influence from the jet stream. Don't want to go overboard about it, but certainly the temperature anomaly is no better than slightly above average, although most parts of northern Europe are forecast to have a very warm summer. And the precipitation anomaly from the CFSV2 is actually a little bit above average, so it is going for a rather wettish sort of summer and not particularly exciting summer, really. Jamstec temperature anomaly for summer 2020 looks like that, above average. Jamstec is going for a milder, a warmer than average summer. And the Jamstec precipitation anomaly also looks slightly drier than average, so a warm, dry summer being predicted by Jamstec. Very nice summer indeed. The Beijing Climate Center 500 millibar height anomaly for the summer of 2020 looks like that. It has above average heights out to our west. Possibly a little bit more influence of the jet stream than you might envisage on that chart. So if we look at the 200 millibar height anomaly, that perhaps explains things a little bit better. Has an area of above average heights towards Newfoundland, and probably a dip in the jet stream within the 500 millibar flow through here. So what looks like it could be a fairly decentish pattern for the summer is actually a little bit cooler and a little bit more unsettled than you might think. The temperature anomaly for summer 2020 with the Beijing Climate Center is no better than average, and possibly hints at being a little bit cool, actually. Precipitation anomalies aren't too bad. They are sort of average to slightly drier than average, but I do think that's a rather mixed signal for the summer from the Beijing Climate Center. And then finally, for UK Met Office, GWV mean pressure anomaly for May, June, July. Doesn't yet cover the full summer period, but for May, June, July, looks a bit mixed. Low pressure is being forecast to be to our north and probably influence from the jet stream as well. The temperature anomaly with the UK Met long range model is close to or a little bit above average, but look at precipitation for May, June, July, and it's above average through that early to mid-summer period. So a rather wettish early to mid-summer is being forecast there by the UK Met GWV. Very early days, of course, for those long-range models, and we'll do the first summer 2020 season model roundup at the end of March, and then there'll be two more in April and also in May as well. Juxtaposed to that, every week we'll have a summer 2020 update where we'll go through all the things that I've just talked about in this video and more, and through reanalysis we will bring you up to date with all of the latest developments as we count down the days, weeks and months to the summer of 2020. So here we go again. We're building up to another summer, and yes, it's all going to kick off next week with the first GWV.com summer 2020 update. That will be up next Sunday on the 8th of March, and we will count down then every week through to the end of May. Not sure what the date will be yet, but the end of May is when we will release the GWV Summer 2020 forecast. So here we go again. Sit back, enjoy, and we'll have an update every week for the summer of 2020. And hope you find the journey to the summer of 2020 interesting and informative. Right, don't forget to check out the spring forecast, of course, and also GWV Study Roundup. We're going to have Ensembles Watch tonight, and Terry Scully's March forecast is still to come. So keep checking back to all of the updates at website and at YouTube channel. That's all for now, though, and thanks for watching.